I can hear you breathe.
That was an incredibly appropriate time for you to say that.
Was it?
Yeah. I was thinking about,
Because I could hear it.
well, no, I was thinking about the 90s.
Okay.
It's complicated. Look, I was in love once, okay? And that's what I was thinking about. That's what I've been thinking about all afternoon. So, welcome to Carpe and Zen podcast. I'm Joseph Carpenter.
And I'm Jacob Lauritsen.
And together we are Carpe
and Zen.
Thanks for being here, guys. Glad you're here.
I was just checking levels. Hey, if we don't mess things up, we'll have both sound and video the entire time.
We haven't had a good track record the last couple shows, have we?
For people that, produce media, we only mess up when it's for us, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Well, that's when you want to mess up, right?
Right.
I mean, it's also very different recording something that's, an hour plus long as opposed to a shot here, a shot there, a shot here, a shot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
What?
I don't know. I was just thinking about the 90s again. I don't know why.
Did you stop?
Are you asking me to stop thinking about the 90s?
I think yes.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
Supermarket Sweep is back on TV. You were watching it last night?
I don't know what that is.
Well,
sorry.
It's an old show that we probably both grew up on.
Oh,
but now Leslie Jones is hosting.
I didn't have TV.
Oh, that's right. You didn't have TV growing up.
I only had like 2 shows.
You had Last of the Mohicans on Sundays.
I did.
And
that was my Sunday.
You had a VCR.
That was my Sunday thing. And we wore tapes out.
That was the family Sunday movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize was weird until I was an adult.
Well, that's how things are when you're growing up. I don't know. I mean, your life is normal, as abnormal as it. Everyone's weird.
It actually,
everyone is weird.
It came up in a conversation. We're sitting down with a bunch of friends, right? Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, I haven't seen Last of the Mohicans," and I'm like, "Oh, you haven't seen Last of the Mohicans? That movie's great. We used to watch it every Sunday at my house." And they're like,
"Right,
what?
Hey, Joseph,
someone's heart gets cut out in that, right?"
I haven't seen it.
And I'm like, "Yeah, that's the coolest part." Like,
was that not Sunday appropriate?
I don't know. I guess not.
What's Sunday like at your house?
It's just a pig heart with some.
Yeah,
blood
exactly. Like I remember watching The Messenger. Right?
Okay.
I remember watching The Messenger. And yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that's because there's some sort of, I don't know, animals ripping something apart, and it's like, that's chicken.
Yeah. And it looks like chicken.
Yeah, but it's all right. Mila Jovovich has a movie coming out.
Yeah.
I just saw the trailer today. Monster Hunters or something? What is it?
Yeah, Monster Hunter. There's another movie that just came out called Love and Monsters.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. It's about love and monsters.
Well, then it's a good title. I suppose.
Nailed it. Right?
Pacific Rim, what's that about? I don't know. But Love and Monsters, I know what that's about.
Yeah.
No, but the Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
I was watching the trailer and I'm like, please say this is on Netflix. Please say this is on Netflix.
Straight up Netflix.
And it's like, no, it's going to theaters. I'm like, well, I don't know what that means.
Is that a Wes? I almost said Anderson, and that's not right.
No, definly not a Wes Anderson movie. That's definitely not
a Wes Anderson movie. Yeah. Her husband.
Oh, I don't know who her husband is.
He helmed the.
I'm sure he
zombie
did.
Franchise.
Oh, I don't know. I should know these things.
Yeah, dang it.
I'm going to move on without knowing it.
Okay.
Because that would be embarrassing too.
I'm pretty sure it starts with a Wes.
I don't even.
Or an Anderson.
I spend so much time on IMDb. Yeah.
The one that was a video game. I am so fried right now. It's a good thing we don't have any listeners. I'd be getting just shredded.
Anchor estimates that we have 7. Our audience is 7.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
I checked today. Paul W.S. Anderson.
There we go. I knew there's an Anderson in there.
And W.S., no wonder you're thinking Wes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, okay. Well, there you go.
Is he directing that one?
Now I have to look at that too.
Monster Hunter? Oh, our show is terrible. Nobody will. Monster Hunter 2020 horror film. Let's see. Yep. Paul W.S. Anderson, director. Ron Perlman. Oh, okay. So, I promise I'll get off the 90s here in just a second.
Okay.
Hold it, maybe I won't.
It's definitely not the theme for this episode today.
No, it's not. But
go ahead.
I watched the Blade franchise, the Blade Trilogy.
Okay.
It was just on Hulu. And I was like, oh.
Okay.
I'm trying to get in a horror vibe, right? It's October.
Sure.
And Blade comes up under horror. And I'm like, it's not a horror movie.
Okay, sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Way better than I remember.
All right.
I actually really enjoyed the movies, right? Mm-hmm. Especially the first one. The first one, for whatever reason, I just thought was a really cool movie. 15-year-old me, whatever. But yeah, there's so much talk about Black Panther being the first breakout Marvel lead role and everything, right? And I'm like, why do we forget about this?
Okay, this has been my argument about Elektra.
Oh.
Marvel Studios didn't exist at the time.
Okay.
It was produced in association with. So Marvel didn't make it, but it is a Marvel movie with the female lead from way back when.
Uh-huh.
What's in your wallet? Sorry.
No.
There's a Jennifer Garner commercial tonight.
That's a generational gap there.
Yeah. That's what she does now. That and, I don't know, take care of her kids.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time she did a movie, which means she's probably doing tons of them. I'm just not seeing them.
You're just not seeing them. I don't know. I haven't seen her in anything in a while. I think I did. I saw her in Butter. She was fantastic in that film. It was.
Oh, no. There was some sort of like mom revenge movie.
I know what you're talking about.
About a year ago?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Butter's probably like 4 or 5 years ago now. But
okay.
She played like this vengeful Southern. Oh, man, she was great. I don't know why she didn't get Best Actor nom. She was really good. Who else was I thinking about the other day?
I don't know.
No, it was a female lead.
Okay.
Foxy Brown. Not Foxy Brown.
I'm still lost.
I found an old show.
Okay.
And dang it. This episode's terrible. We're just on our phones the whole time.
I'm very confused what's happening right now. I'm just thinking, I don't want to edit these pauses out, so we need something to fill the gaps.
Yeah, we do.
Quick, sing a song.
Sing a song. Pam Grier.
So what's...
Pam Grier was in a show that I saw the other day, and I was like, oh, it's Pam Grier. Because she was just like, I don't know. I got to watch a lot of weird films when I was a kid because I didn't have TV. So I would just scrounge all these crazy movies. I would go there. We had a Sal's Market, and I would rent videos, and it was like 50 cents to rent videos, and I could literally find 50 cents on the street to rent a video. So I would rent videos that my mom and dad wouldn't know that I rented. I had a black and white TV. And
does your mom listen to this?
No. I doubt it. She would probably get too bored.
I need to tag her next time we share this. You might want to listen to this one. Sorry, go ahead.
So we had a black and white TV. Now, I didn't grow up in the 60s, okay? I just happened to have a black and white TV. We just happened to have one.
Yeah.
And I could turn the contrast down. So, because it would make a really loud. It had a bunch of caps in it, and well,
Do I need to describe what old TVs used to be like?
it had a bunch of tubes in it, and so when it would
That doesn't
turn
help. That doesn't help.
when it would turn off and on, it would make a really loud,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you couldn't
I
turn it
know
off.
exactly what you're talking
You
about.
couldn't turn it off and on when your parents weren't around, right? Because it was very clear, it was very distinct.
And then when it came on, it'd be.
Yep. And it would take a little while to warm up.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into how caps and everything work, but anyway, what it did have was a contrast knob,
Okay.
right? And if I heard my dad coming, I could dial down the contrast really fast, and it looked like the TV was off. so it just made the screen go and just totally black. And I saw so many movies this way. Like I thought the Rocketeer was in black and white.
I love Rocketeer. There's probably that'd be a very good movie in black and white.
It's fantastic in black and white.
I'll bet.
The color palette leans into it really well. But anyway,
What
I used
about
to
Cap.
Captain America, the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be fun.
Okay.
I enjoyed
Same director.
Yeah,
Joe Johnson.
I enjoyed Logan in black and white. That's kind of a fun film.
Which you did not watch growing up.
No, I didn't. But anyway, so I used to get all these movies with Pam Grier, and I was just thinking, well, we were talking about this weeks ago, like strong female characters. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
she was doing strong female stuff in the late '60s. So, and she doesn't get enough credit for it. I don't think. I don't think she gets enough recognition for it. You know, we're like hailing these actresses now.
Well, here we go. This is your moment.
Pam Grier.
It came in 2020 of all years on a podcast that no one listens to.
Thank you, Pam. Slow clap. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's what I've been thinking about. There it is.
Yeah.
All right, what are we really going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about cinema cameras.
Okay. Dang it.
You pitched the idea.
I know.
I mean, I asked for ideas.
And I
And
said,
you're like,
you
well,
come
what
up
are you
with an
thinking
idea.
about right now? And I'm like, well, I've
Cinemas?
really been looking into the BGH-1. It's a new box camera by Panasonic Lumix, right? And I think it's a really interesting camera. I want to get into specifics. But anyway, you're like, oh, we could talk about, cinema cameras. And I'm like, sold. So here we are.
Yeah.
So I guess it's my turn to talk about the Panasonic BGH-1.
Let's talk about it.
All right. So I think it's like this big. It's like super small. It's like you look at a Lumix camera and it's the same size as that without the grip and a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes it so compelling, they take the sensor from the
BGH.
the GH5S.
Right.
They take the sensor, which was for filmmaking, whatever. They get one extra stop out of it, one of dynamic range, so it's up to 13.
13 or 14 stops.
So it's up to 13.
Mm-hmm.
In part because they redid their like mid-grade vlog. So it's just got a little bit more range to it.
Uh-huh.
So it's got a little more dynamic range than the GH5S.
Which is a vastly more expensive camera.
Is
the S?
So this is $2,000.
Is the S $2,500 now?
So the GH5S, I want to say it came out at 25. I don't know where it's at right now.
Okay.
That's a good question. It's still micro four thirds.
Mm-hmm.
It's not full frame.
Right.
It's not a full frame camera.
Which is, it seems like a weird move
For them to make this?
Simply because, is it what's the new one that they just came out with that was full frame?
Oh, it's like S5?
Yeah. That was super popular, right? Uses the Canon, I'm sorry, not the Canon, but the Sony, the Sony sensor.
Oh, I don't know.
It was incredibly...
But it was announced shortly before this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was getting all excited about this, and I was like, why haven't I heard of this other one?
Yeah.
But what I think is really interesting about the BGH-1,
Nailed it.
I'm keeping up with all these names. I'm killing it.
So
today.
many acronyms. I don't even know if
It's actually the DC-BGH. BGH-1.
Don't.
Anyway, not important. Not important. It's really versatile. So it's a box camera. So it's designed to be, so like what are the other box cameras right now? You have like Z-Cam and you have the
which is in the same price range.
Yeah, it's about the same price range. And then of course there's your Komodo just went on a pre-order. That's all whatever box cameras. And then I was looking up the Micro Studio, the Blackmagic camera.
Okay.
That's even smaller, I think. But anyway, what's cool about this camera, it's got all the professional ports on the back.
Yeah.
You've got your time code, your Genlock, you got your SDI, full HDMI. It's got USB-C off the back, and it's got an Ethernet
which is
port.
Pretty cool.
And
especially since they have software that works with it, right?
Yes, it's got fantastic software where it can control up to, I want to say like 12 of these at the same time.
Wow.
So it's not just a cinema body. It's designed to do basically a cinematic image for productions, multicam productions, and live streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's really interesting about this camera is if this podcast, we were going to run 3 cameras, that would be a fantastic tool for it. We just set up 3, one on you, one on me. We got a master.
Yeah.
And we can control the thing from the middle. You can control focus. It has autofocus in a cinema body.
Yeah.
So like that's compelling by itself, which is interesting.
Now, does it have the same autofocus that is it the GH5?
So they've worked on it. I know Panasonic is not the top cinema whatever, but it's better. I've seen some tests. Like if you are running towards the camera, as opposed to, it's once you're in range, it's going to catch you. If you're running away, it'll probably be able to track you the whole time. If you just jump onto camera, it's going to take it a second.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting something, you just be aware of its limitations, right?
Right.
But you might be able to do, say, like high school sports with this camera because you can control it remotely. You just have your which is something I've been doing a lot of lately. We're trying to build up a media program at my high school where I teach. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's got some dynamic range. I don't know. It's got some cool things. It's 2000.
Yeah.
It's 2000.
It's a pretty compelling camera. The big selling point for me was the software and the Ethernet port.
Right. The Ethernet port. Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure I'm going to want to run out and grab this and be like, okay, we're going to make music videos with this thing now. Right. Which I don't think it would be bad at.
It'd probably be okay.
Yeah, but I think for like high-end podcast streaming and for like you were saying, sports and stuff like that, that would be because it's
churches.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got that micro four thirds sensor, so you're cropped already, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with the whole, which full frame is becoming more and more popular, right?
Yeah, and it's got its benefits.
Yeah,
sure.
But I mean, I think there's still a market for the micro four thirds, and I think it's interesting that they're playing with that as a cinema camera, because I mean, the only other one that is doing this is the Blackmagic, right?
Right.
And
the 4K.
Yeah, and I legitimately think, and this is just my personal opinion, that they did that to keep costs down on the sensors. That's my guess. Right, because
which one?
the Pocket 4K.
Okay.
Yeah, the Blackmagic. So that's my guess, right? Either that or I don't know. Maybe they're just thinking outside of a different box than I'm thinking outside of. Because whatever.
Yeah.
But I definitely think there's a marketplace for it, especially for that for streaming events, and possibly even for like high-end YouTubers or mid-level YouTubers.
It's gonna put out a really good image.
Yeah.
You light it well. I mean, for $2,000, you can get assuming you have a budget.
Yeah.
You get several of them.
Yeah.
And then you've got a great studio set up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Mounted to some robotic arms.
Yeah.
I want some really bad.
Yeah, we were talking about that this week too.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I was looking at it, I was like, okay, it's got a bunch of cool things. It's got some great software,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a, whatever. The cool thing is if you only had this and you didn't have a whole lot of other, bodies or whatever, you could just throw a nice lens on it, go out, shoot something. You're going to need a monitor because there's no screen.
Yeah.
But then you could bring it back to the studio, set it back down. You can stream with it. You can, because it's Ethernet cable allows for it to be powered over Ethernet. You can control focus remotely and whatever. So like with one cable, you can power it and you can run it.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's pretty cool. It's for if you just want a super simple setup.
Yeah.
Boom. Plug the thing in and let it run.
So for like indies, it'd be a good B cam.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's designed to be a crash cam.
Yeah.
So it could totally work as that. And if it's what you have to work with, yeah. I mean, 13 stops.
That's nothing to sneer at.
No,
That's a
I
lot
mean
of
it's
stops.
more than we shot our movie with.
Is it stabilized?
I haven't heard anything about stabilization.
Okay.
But you could put a stabilized lens on it.
Okay.
And it's light.
Yeah.
So you could stick it on a gimbal.
See, and that's kind of that's a pretty big deal, too. DJI is just coming out with some new stuff.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Which
the Raven Eye is holy cow.
It's one of those ideas I wish I had, because it's so simple. It's,
to use the sensor.
Yeah, to use to just bounce photons back. It's like
LiDAR,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So 22 feet. That's what you said, right?
I think that's the number that I saw. I think
that's the only number I've heard. So I scoured the internet. I searched YouTube, which is the second most popular, search engine on the internet, right? Okay.
As a media marketing professional, I can tell you that YouTube takes up about 51% of the media anything.
Oh, well, there you go. Interesting. So I searched. I could only find one video that seriously looked at what you can do with the Raven Eye. Everyone else just kind of mentioned it passing. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Is it?
This is the biggest thing to come out with this.
Yeah, I feel like they should be making a bigger deal. Maybe there's not that many testers right now. That's kind of what I'm imagining.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So what it was is Josh Yo from Make Art Now. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He saw this and he's like, what? So he takes
very
a
cinematic creator. Very cinematic creator.
So he sticks it on the Blackmagic 6K, which doesn't have great autofocus to begin with, right?
Okay.
He sticks a manual lens on, super fast lens. It's like 0.95. Manual lens.
Oh, like a Mikoton or something like that?
I don't know which one it was. He's like, this is stupid shallow, right? And then
like unusable.
He
fast.
sets it up. He sets it up, and it's dark, and he's like across the room, and it's tracking him as he walks around.
And the gimbal's tracking him too.
Yeah,
right?
so the gimbal is following him, and then the Raven Eye is locking focus.
So freaking cool.
And it's just like,
and
I don't even have words.
And is he shooting at 0.95?
Cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so it's
cool.
There's like no depth of field on it, right?
You have like this,
which is an extreme case there. And then he takes it outside.
It's like his nose is out of focus, but his face is.
And then I assumed he was shooting wide open, but then he takes it outside, and light doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because focus isn't based on some sort of contrast or whatever, like a lot of systems are. It's the LiDAR system, and so it could track almost as fast as like some other systems.
Yeah.
Because but it was at 22 foot range.
And it's in the earliest stages of development.
Yeah.
I think this could be a big deal. You can turn your cinema lenses into autofocus lenses.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, and it doesn't matter what system you put it on.
Yeah.
It doesn't because you
program
going through the camera.
Yeah, you've programmed the stops in, right? So now, if I'm understanding it correctly, you have to have hard stops.
Yes, the lens needs to have hard stops.
Because you have to have your all the way to the left, all the way to the right kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then you have to tell it which direction it goes. And then it'll, I don't know how it does the math, but it does it somehow.
Yeah. Now,
I imagine you have to program it with the actual lens.
Now, with the gimbal, because it works with the
R or something, the new one.
RS.
Yeah.
RS2.
Yeah.
Right. R for Ronin.
Yeah.
S2. Anyway, so you can actually, instead of using your phone to track and follow, which is what the first gen did, you can actually use the camera, whatever models.
We're gonna sell our first gen.
I've barely been able to use that
It's
thing.
for sale.
But I mean, the Raven Eye is incredibly compelling. So you take something like that and you stick it on a little, box camera. Or so I mean, he took the 6K, the Blackmagic Pocket 6K, which doesn't have great autofocus, and suddenly it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's able to shoot stuff by himself, which is something he tends to do regardless.
Right.
But it's really
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
So I was starting to think, what are all the different things we could do with it? We tried to shoot a web series a while ago called Almost Jedi, but we didn't have a cameraman. So we were trying to figure out, how do we shoot this where it's just us? This could actually do that.
Yeah.
And if you had multiples, I'm sitting there thinking something like this right here, right? We could have close up on me, close up on you, and a master. And I was thinking, okay, so on master we have camera on slider. That's just kind of the motorized slider, just tracking the whole scene. And then we have the close-ups on us, following us, and it's just like everything is moving and it's just us in the room.
Yeah.
Now I think that's a bit overkill, but
we can,
I would look.
I don't know, we'd probably screw it up anyway and just get audio on accident. So. Speaking of which, how's our audio doing? Yeah, we're good.
I reformatted everything. I checked.
Nice.
I'm crossing my fingers.
It wasn't a dig.
I don't know.
Yeah, I really think this has huge potential.
That's gonna be
Simply
super cool.
because everybody's autofocus system works slightly differently, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even know. Like Sony's works on a contrast base, right?
I don't know what theirs is.
Canon's works on, like, they have an actual iris tracker thing that they put it on and then it focuses. It's one of the reasons why their autofocus is so smooth, right? And that's why I think that's why I prefer Canon's autofocus, is because it acts more like a person, right? It seems like it's a Sony, for example, great for photography, right? You point, snaps, and it's quick. Right.
Yeah.
Same thing with videography. It's really quick.
I saw a recent video with the new A7S3.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
You can change the speed.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So it looks more like a focus pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, now Canon's, when you're filming, it just automatically, right? It's a little bit slower, right? And it'll take it and it'll get just kind of soft. But if you can adjust it, I don't know how, but that's typically what we shoot on, is with our Canon, or what I shoot on anyway. It just looks more natural to me, right? It feels more like I don't know, like what you see in a film, I guess. It looks like you've got a AD there, and he's great at it. First movie I ever noticed it in was, like, I don't know, probably Swordfish.
Swordfish.
Yeah, which is like way late. I probably should have noticed it before.
Well, it's not. I mean, okay. So we talk about early film, right? I mean, sure, there was some focus pulls, but it was very different. And I was so I was listening to No Film School podcast this week.
Okay.
It's maybe last week's episode then. And they're talking about how Disney just restructured to really their entertainment division to focus on streaming. And they're like, well, what is this going to do to the entertainment, to theaters? And so and I think that's a whole thing we can get into. But they were talking about the concept of changing how you shoot a film based on where people are going to see it.
Okay.
And if people aren't watching your movies in a theater anymore, they were talking about how you're shooting it closer.
Yeah.
Like everything is tighter. And so I've been thinking about that. And like you just reminded me of that. Like it changes how you're going to shoot something. And they were talking about how, I mean, just older movies, everything was super wide.
Right.
Right. And there wasn't a whole lot of need to get too tight. And then they were talking about like the Bourne movies. Things started to get close and really tight.
Yeah.
And like I remember loving that.
Yeah.
Right. We loved how realistic some of the action in that seemed. But it makes sense. Like you're gonna start getting tighter if your screen is smaller.
Right.
So I
That's
think
interesting.
but if we're talking about these camera moves and focus pulls, they wouldn't have been as big of a deal. It wouldn't have been as necessary if you're shooting as wide.
Yeah.
It probably makes more sense when you're tighter because it's a little more obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying. That's it.
I
Yeah.
finished a thought.
Nice. Well, I mean, and instantly what comes to mind is old westerns, right? Old westerns was shot super wide, right? Especially the I want to say Sergio Leone. He shot on a 65, which was like, I think he was like the only person doing that back then. I mean, I'm sure a few other people were, but yeah, everything was really wide, and he did a lot of focus pulls and a lot of zooms, right?
Yeah.
Like we think of zooms as like a comedic thing now.
Well, was it Edgar Wright that kind of made things a bit silly.
I think so, but he would use it to show scope.
Yes.
Right. He would be
zoom in on.
You would be there, and then
you pull out, and it just keeps going.
And you're like, wow, look at the space that they're working with, and that works well for westerns. It lends well. It's open space. Typically everything just happens out in these large open areas. And then you have. And then back then you had TV, which was like what 4:3,
4:3, yeah.
and that's as wide as it got, right? And when you watched a movie, they cropped it, and it looked strange, right? When you watched a movie on TV, or like when it came to TNT, everything was either a little bit squeezed, or you couldn't see the edges of the screen, and then you started getting these like wider screens, and you were able to enjoy those movies again. So yeah, no, that's really interesting. Shooting at now Disney already shoots at a pretty tight aspect ratio. Like they talk about the Avengers, right?
Okay, the Avengers was 1:8:5.
Right.
Remember that because we were trying to figure out how to shoot Ace,
which is strange.
Yeah.
Right? That is not a typical way that I don't know cinematic movies are shot.
It's too tall.
Yeah,
it's too tall.
But they had characters that were really short and really tall. Right.
Yeah.
You had to fit Hulk and Black Widow.
Yeah.
And Rocket Raccoon. Okay, there we go. in the same frame, right? Or Groot and Rocket Raccoon, right? In the same frame. But I mean, you watch it; it doesn't look.
No,
I didn't even notice.
It was a good aspect ratio.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. And I think not the whole thing, just certain parts of it. I think some things are shot a little bit.
I would like to do a neo-western that is super wide.
Yeah, that'd be great. Wouldn't that be fun?
I was actually thinking of recording this podcast in wide. I sometimes think about that.
I don't. Sometimes that's what I think about.
Sometimes I think about wide aspect ratio.
If I could get that one written.
239.
I'm writing something right now. I'm writing something right now. I don't know if how it's gonna turn out, but we'll see. It's a short film. I'm trying to keep it short. It keeps getting longer.
Yeah. So
it's a survival. It's a horror.
Am I gonna be able to convince you at some time for us to get a cinema camera?
Well, I know we need a cinema camera, but
I like hearing you say that.
I want one. I don't not want a cinema camera.
Okay, so let me reframe the question. What would you want in a cinema camera?
Honestly, I would. I don't know. I think I'd want a Canon, like a not the C70. Although I'd love a C70, and honestly, that's probably where the price range lies. But like a.
Was it 55?
Yeah, and I imagine it'll be cheaper soon. Like a like the C300 or the C500, whatever their top spec one is. I think that would be a really nice camera.
Okay.
Because I've seen things shot on that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. Obviously a red would be nice, but there's so much stuff that you have to get for a red.
Yeah, and that's what's really interesting about the Komodo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not designed to replace their their upper cameras, because it was originally designed as a crash cam,
Uh-huh.
but it can record in the same codec.
Mm-hmm.
It's 6K.
Yeah.
It's it's much less expensive to rig out.
Right.
Yeah, like our monitor would work on it.
Yeah.
So like that there are some interesting things there. Yeah. And it's RF.
Mm-hmm.
So like our lenses would work as well.
We've got some RF glass that we could work with.
So that's interesting. What is nice about the Canon,
and we could afford some cinema RF Rokinon stuff too.
what would be is nice. They're very boxy, and they have all the things. They have the internal NDs and like that. That's nice. You don't have to rig out the Canon cinema cameras very much.
Yeah, you've got sound built in, good
Yes.
sound. You've got and that saves so much time in post. You've got the built-in NDs.
Yeah.
You've got like a solid codec, a color science that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're the easiest, I think, because I feel like you could buy with like leaving the pocket cinema case out of it,
Which is just
like
right at the entry point of everything. These are you're talking now like $15,000.
Yeah. I mean, because if you're gonna get a red, you're gonna spend 15 grand on it anyway.
Yeah, right? I mean, if we're skipping the Komodo,
Mm-hmm.
you're like 20, and then you have to rig it out,
and then you spend another 5 or 8, whatever, just on everything else.
Now your monitor is gonna be like 1,000.
Yeah,
and it goes on.
So, and that's why I think the Canon speaks to me so much. But having said that, the Black Magics are impressive cameras. I don't know. I still, in my mind, for some reason, they just don't feel like cinema cameras to me yet. I don't know why. Probably because I've seen things shot on both, and I don't know. I still feel like that's a DSLR, even though I know it's not. Like it's got sound built in. I don't think it's as good as like something that you get from one of the C models of Canon, or the because still nobody uses it. Like when you do see big productions with it, they still record externally. And I have heard the sound, and it's a little hissy to me, even though it is balanced, and I'm not sure why. And I saw like a back and forth on it. It was like graded and balanced and unbalanced and everything, and I thought, but because that is a great camera, and that's something that we could definitely, because we've got RF glass, and we could get cinema RF glass for fairly decent prices. Like there's so many used Rokinon lenses out there that you can get for fairly cheap. When we were making Ace, I was so close. It was $4,000 for the Zine, and it was 5 lenses. It was a 24, a 35, an 85, and 100. Was it 100? Yeah. Which I was like, oh. And I wanted to get my hands on that 85. 85 is just a focal length that I really like. It's like the first focal length I ever fell in love with.
I really liked some of the longer lenses that we used.
Yeah.
Especially in close-up. They looked really good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when we shot Ace, like specifically, I shot Ace. I shot his scenes on like an 85.
Yeah.
To make him feel tighter. And then other people I would shoot on a 35.
Yeah.
So that was an intentional an intentional thing that we did with him to make him feel more claustrophobic and to speak to the character a little bit more. And plus, it's just a focal length that
I like how it looked. It was great.
I adore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I was so close to buying those. They were an EF mount, but they disappeared out from under me before I finally got up the guts to buy them. And those are great lenses.
Yeah.
The Rokinons in general are soft. It doesn't seem to matter what you do. They're always just a little bit soft, but I think it's because they're not, you pay the extra $4,000 for a Canon or a Zeiss, and they're sharper because you're paying an extra $6,000 or $7,000 for them, as opposed to $1,300.
I kind of think though, like if we want a more filmic as opposed to a video look,
the softness works.
Softer.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the things that's great about Ace.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like it was shot on a photography camera.
Yeah,
it's a little bit soft, and it grades really well, and it doesn't look like a video.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe that one scene, but in the gym.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
that one turned out a little weird, but we were experimenting.
We wanted a oneer.
Yeah, we tried for a oneer. Aces, we tried a bunch of different stuff on it.
We had a couple of oneers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so I don't know. I know we need a cinema camera. I know we need to get one. Maybe once we get our other stuff out, then I'll go, okay, it's time to get a cinema camera.
And who knows what'll be out by then.
Yeah.
I mean, so if we're talking, I get focused 6 months from now, everything's out, and we're just like, what's next? Now it's time to
get a cinema camera.
I don't know. I mean, 6 months from now, I wouldn't expect there's anything huge happening unless Blackmagic has a new pocket cam.
Yeah,
they're gonna upgrade the 4K or something. Like I don't know. I don't know what might be waiting that hasn't come out, because like it feels like everything just came out.
Yeah. Well, everything got sprung on everybody too. I feel like Canon has something else up its sleeve with the C70. I don't know if it's an upgrade to the C70 or if there's going to be something that's a step down or a step up.
Really?
I've heard some rumors. I don't know. The Lumix, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, the box camera.
I mean,
But it is kind of the perfect camera for now.
Yeah.
It's kind of the perfect camera for now because it can do. You can go shoot cinematic stuff with it.
Yeah.
You can shoot a production with it. And you can live stream with it.
Yeah.
It's incredibly versatile. Yeah, especially with the right glass on it. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff you can put on a Micro Four Thirds. I don't know. I'm looking forward to that Raven Eye stuff, man. That's awesome. As much as and maybe it's just my own, like, I don't really want to have to learn it, because sometimes I'll shoot handheld with R35, right?
Yeah.
And it's
definitely finesse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, the lens is soft anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So you're getting to it, and you've got your focus peaking on, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's great. But it also rotates like 360 degrees. So you're like,
It's got a lot of throw.
So, I mean, it's very smooth.
Yeah.
For such a cheap lens, it really doesn't breathe that much.
Which is great.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't mind.
But you could try to use the follow focus sometime, maybe.
Yeah, that too.
It's right there. I'm pointing at it. It's right off camera.
It's behind you. Yeah.
I was looking at the Tilta website today.
No, were you?
It wasn't good.
We should play. I don't know. That'd be great too. I was looking at dang it. They make.
Oh, is this gonna be?
I'm
supposed to guess?
Yeah. No, you're supposed to just know.
I'm supposed to.
You're supposed to just know.
All I know is you're thinking right now.
Shoot. I can't remember the name of the company, but anyway,
what kind of product are we talking about?
they make a thing that goes on the front of your camera.
Matte box.
A matte box.
There we go. I'm getting closer now.
Oh gosh.
So
they make a matte box and you can slide in lots of different filters and gradient filters and stuff.
Okay. Is it the newish one from Polar Pro?
Polar Pro, yes.
Their base camp?
Nailed it. Yeah. There it is. How'd you know? See, why didn't you just know the first time?
I know some things. We did get a nice matte box. We just need to get some nice glass for it.
Yeah.
And that's where the real money's gonna be.
But this one from Polar Pro, I mean, it
looks nice.
It looks nice.
It does.
It's light.
I was looking at the Tilta. I was looking at the Tilta one today. It's incredibly affordable.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the Polar Pro one.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes with like 4 filters. I think you just stick it on the end of the lens, and it's $100.
Wow.
And I was like,
that'd be nice.
I have about $100.
I've been doing a lot of.
But do I need it? I have about $100.
I've been doing a lot of long exposure photography lately.
Oh yeah.
Actually, on my birthday, I got up at 1 a.m.
I haven't told you happy birthday in person, have I?
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Because we haven't seen each other.
No, we haven't.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
Now let's talk about what to buy yourself for your birthday. Sorry, you were saying?
So I've been doing like on my birthday, I got up. It was the last day that we had this machine, right, at work. So I'm like, I'm going to experiment because no one's going to tell me no, or I'm not going to.
So you didn't run out last week and do it. You waited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I tried. It just didn't work.
Oh.
And I thought, okay, I'll go at it again.
Yeah.
So what I did was I did some light painting, and I lined up the Crab Nebula in the back, right? And the edge of the universe, and I layered like 15 photos on top of each other. It didn't turn out exactly like I wanted, but it did turn out to be a pretty cool photo.
Oh, cool, you have to show me.
Yeah. Well, they don't ever post them, so it just sits around. But anyway, so I took this photo, or like a bunch of photos, and it was my birthday, and I don't sleep much on my birthday anyway, because I don't know, I don't like it. And as I was getting into the car, like I put my bag into the car, like 1:30 in the morning, and then my neck goes, and I'm still having issues with it to this day, and I'm like, hey, happy 36th.
I was wondering if you're going to say how old.
I'm 36. Nobody listens to the show. They don't care how old I am. So I'm just jacked up. I'm trying to light paint this huge rig, and
you can't move.
I can't move my arm. But I'm also trying to beat, because I didn't bring my my shutter release, so I'm limited to what I can do with the camera, which is 30 seconds.
Oh,
right. I can leave open for a 30-second exposure,
mm-hmm.
and I can add 10 seconds because I can get a 10-second timer. So I'm like, okay, 10 seconds. I have 40 seconds. I'd set it on my clock, and I'd run it. I'd light it from the back, just trying my best to get it done. And like I said, some things didn't exactly turn out. And then Photoshop did some weird stuff. I focus stacked it, which was one of those things that I legitimately thought was my idea until I saw it was a feature in Photoshop. So
there's so many things we've invented. I invented Google Docs. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I had that idea.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, well, thanks. I talked to, I have 2 brothers that are programmers. One happens to work for Google now.
Jerk.
He didn't at the time. But I talked to, it's like, wouldn't it be great if you could like write something and it could like be on the internet and you could like adjust it. And so like he was.
And share it with parties. So he went and invented it and got millions.
No, he works for Aspire now. They mod video games.
Okay.
Right? Anyway, but he was like, well, it'd take about this many hours to program it or whatever. But
yeah,
if Google's just gonna make it, then whatever.
Yeah, my cousin's a programmer. I throw a lot of ideas at him, and he's like, the last thing I want to do when I get home from work is program.
Yep, there it is.
It's like, fine.
I also had no money to pay my brother to work more.
Yeah, jerk. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, focus stacked it. So I had the stars in focus, and I had the rig in focus. But I also set
awesome.
I set 3 different focal lengths on the rig. Now it's this 95-ton machine,
Yeah.
right? And so it's massive. And so I set 3 different focal planes. I have like the closest, and then like the mid, and then it has a radiator in the back that I set a focal length on, and then of course the stars. And I stacked those on top of each other, and it was slightly windy, so like one of the flaps is kind of out of sync, so it just looks ghosted, and it actually turned out to be.
But it works.
Yeah, it turned out to be pretty cool. I mean, I think a lot of people will look at it and go, "Oh, what's wrong with that?" But I don't know. Artistically, I thought I'm gonna leave it. Like I could have taken that one out of the stack or just lined it up manually, but I don't know. I like the way that it looked. I thought it was kind of cool.
You gonna make it look even cooler?
What's if it was in focus?
A cinema camera.
A cinema camera. Just like right there in front of the machine, right? Just for no reason. Just a camera.
No, just if we had a cinema camera.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'd solve all our problems.
I think the C70 will take stills.
Well,
I think most cinema cameras will.
I mean, the Blackmagic cameras will take stills. Yeah. I mean,
but the C70 takes stills. I think all the C series will take stills.
They should.
Yeah. Hasselblads will, but what am I talking about? Those are photography cameras.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've always thought, how cool would it be to use one as a cinema camera?
Well,
because they've got like 18 stops, dude.
Oh.
They're like,
yeah,
and they've got like 80 megapixels or something.
Because
like
the Reds will like get into about 17, right?
Yeah,
like 16, 17. Yeah,
but they're not stable. They don't like to move. But they've got a ton of stoppage and a ton of pixels. They'd be dope.
That's a lot of pixels.
Yeah.
Speaking of pixels, so the BGH-1, it's just like a 10.
Yeah, it's a Sony sensor.
Well, so they drop the megapixels.
Yeah.
But then they're bigger.
But, yeah.
But they're bigger pixels.
Yeah, the pixels are bigger,
which is good for video.
Yeah, they get more light.
And then Sony did the same thing.
Yeah. I think all the Lumix, I think all their stuff they buy from Sony.
Well,
I think so.
I mean, does Apple get their for the iPhone?
I think so.
Are those Sony?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, they rebrand them, but
yeah.
Yeah, everybody buys from Sony.
Everybody comes to Rick's.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with what we were talking about.
No, but I liked it.
But I said it. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It made me laugh.
Yeah. I don't know. Are we done? Does this feel like we're done with this episode?
Yeah, we're about 50 minutes in.
There we go.
It'll be one of our shorter episodes.
Yeah.
Cut it off now. So, okay. What are you looking forward to most television-wise before we go?
You know my answer, right?
It better be the same as mine.
We're like 2 weeks away from Mandalorian season 2.
Yes.
It's also like about the only thing on TV.
Yeah.
Because Jon Favreau is just like, oh, what pandemic? I already shot season 2. I already did it. I'm going to use a pandemic to write season 3. Yeah.
He's my hero. I feel like we would be friends.
I think so.
Do you feel like you, me, and Jon Favreau would be friends?
I had a friend named Jon Favreau.
We did have a friend named Jon Favreau. I mean,
yeah. It was very confusing when Jon Favreau switched from being like a weird actor to a very accomplished director.
Yeah, writer, director.
Yes, producer, and chef. I need to catch up on the most recent installment of Chef Show. I really enjoyed that show.
I jumped into it. I don't know. It didn't grab me. It was fun.
Okay, it grabs me.
It was fun, but I don't know. I just didn't.
I like it.
I think I watched 4 or 5 episodes.
I like that it's basically a podcast where they're cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I like that.
My wife really likes it, and so she watched.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Well, she likes food, right? Her food is her thing. So she watched a bunch of it without me, and I just kind of went, okay, whatever.
Well, you're just missing out.
I know. Yeah. She's like, I don't get the movie stuff, but
it's Mandalorian.
Yeah. I want to talk about it because Batman got pushed back, and that was kind of what I was looking forward to the most. And I'm like, well, I might as well look forward to the...
Marvel's back in production. They're back to shooting Falcon and Winter Soldier. I read today, Love and Thunder starts filming in January. Thor 4.
But that's they're handing the hammer off, right?
Yes.
That's the one with Natalie Portman?
Yes, but it's not going to be Chris Hemsworth's last movie.
Well, I don't expect it to be.
So...
Well, the Thor in the comic books, traditionally, it gets passed around quite a bit. There is Odinson, right, which is kind of what Chris Hemsworth was. He seems to be a mix of the two characters, but he is Odinson.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of surprised they haven't done it already. Oh, I think Natalie Portman's great. Mostly, I'm a huge fan of hers. But
so the storyline I was reading the summary of today is she has cancer and then she takes the mantle, something like that.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm be interested to see if they go comic bookish with it, where she's only Thor while she's holding the hammer. I don't think they will.
I don't know.
It's kind of a weird trope to...
I feel like I need to dig back into the comics.
Yeah. It's like...
I tried reading Ragnarok.
The comic?
I got bored really fast.
It's not as good as the movie.
I got bored really fast.
I'm a huge Taika fan.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yes.
He's fantastic.
He's
co-writing this one.
Is he? Good.
Yeah.
And he's producing too, right?
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Because I've essentially, years ago, when I saw What We Do in the Shadows,
yeah,
I said, I will watch, read, listen to everything this man does. Because he just gets me. He straight up gets me.
We were born in the wrong country. Just our sensibilities.
Yeah. He understands me. He really does.
Sure.
I feel like he writes for me.
So, Mandalorian, I am very excited for that. I went back and I hadn't finished watching the Gallery series, the behind the scenes, so I finished that.
Okay.
Man, I really like the music one.
I haven't watched any of them, so...
My brother's out.
He's out?
He's out.
Why?
I talked to him about writing music, and he's like, I tried. It wasn't working.
Oh,
so,
man.
Yeah. Anyway.
We're on our own. Oh, well.
I don't know.
Figures.
I don't know what we're going to do. Anyway. But yeah, I pretty soon, I'm going to have to watch about 3 episodes a week to catch up, and that's very exciting.
Yeah. I just need to convince my wife that that's what we need to be watching now. She was like, when it gets closer, we'll watch it. I'm like, no, we need to watch it.
It's close. I mean, what do you want to watch, an episode a night?
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, they're not that long.
No, they're 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for
every time someone mentions it.
I did a deep dive into Westerns recently, and it made me start thinking of The Mandalorian.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for it.
I am too.
I'm really bummed about Batman getting pushed back.
Me too.
I understand why. Still wish it wasn't happening. Because, man, I still go back and watch that trailer. I don't go back and watch Dune's trailer. I watch the Batman trailer.
Which also got bumped.
Oh, did it?
Dune got bumped a year.
Dang it.
All the things.
Why?
It makes me...
No. Unacceptable.
So that Disney... I was telling you about the No Film School podcast where they're talking about how things are kind of shifting away from theaters. It makes me think that...
So does that mean Mulan worked or Mulan didn't work?
Well, I don't think that's it. I think what it is the world is shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Then coronavirus hit. And so it kind of forced Disney to reevaluate things. Apparently, Disney Plus is up to 100 million subscribers.
That's stupid.
It started this year.
So that's 6.
They're over... You do the math. You're doing the math.
Yeah.
Yeah, you figure out how much they make a month.
Lots of money.
It's a lot of money. They can afford a few more shows at the level of a Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, Disney's like, all right, let's push it because this is what's going to work. But also, even if theaters come back, there won't be as many, and they can't make as much money.
Yeah.
Because there aren't as many screens available.
Yeah.
They have to diversify and be ready to make their money off of streaming.
This happened in the 30s and 40s. Same thing. And then it happened again in the 70s and 80s. People got VCRs, and straight to videos was kind of the king, and they stopped making as many movies.
Disney's been maneuvering to be ready for streaming for a lot of years.
Yeah.
They did like BAM Technologies, which is behind like the MLB streaming, which when HBO couldn't keep up with streaming because of Game of Thrones, they hired, BAM, which was called something different at the time. Disney had like a minority stake in that.
Yeah.
Like they bought the technology essentially to do this long before they had complete ownership of Hulu, long before they launched. Like they've been making moves for a long time.
Yeah.
This just pushed everything forward.
Ever since Netflix started streaming, everyone has seen the writing on the wall that that's the way things are going.
Yeah.
Once Netflix started making its own shows, it was like, oh my gosh.
So when do we start our streaming service? Is that where this conversation's going?
No, I don't think so.
50. No. We always pitch the new ideas right at the end of the episode. So our streaming service is going to have 2 movies. That doesn't sound like a streaming service.
There's a lot of random streaming services. I didn't even realize there were so many. I recently got Shudder, which is actually interesting. It's lots of indie stuff. I'm doing indie research, right? Still looking at doing a film festival, and that's a really interesting. And they have a lot of old horror stuff, right? It's mostly horror, and then there's like Western. I told you about that guy. I'm pretty sure we could sell him a movie.
Oh, right. Yeah. We had looked into that.
Yeah, he's got his own streaming service. He's just an independently wealthy guy who likes Westerns and started his own streaming service. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's cool. I hope this doesn't kill theaters. I don't want theaters to die.
I think there will always be a place for theaters, but I really do think
that a lot of them might go away.
It's going to change. This is my biggest fear about it. It's going to change what movies they're making.
Yeah.
Because the budgets are going to get smaller.
That sucks.
That's my fear.
I hope not.
Because obviously, I love theaters. I love the experience. But I also get... I got a big TV right there.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the same? No. But I don't have to pay, $10 to walk into a room where they have a bigger one.
Yeah. And better sound.
Well, they do have better sound. Better sound. But when we rig up our 7-1 system in here.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Sony.
That's what you could get for your birthday.
No. That's expensive. I have expensive tastes when it comes to sound. I'm hard to please.
5-1. Well, I'll settle for 5-1.
You'll settle for 5-1?
I'll settle for 5-1.
Okay, but you're not going to settle for 5-1 balanced audio all the way around. Because that's like $4,000. They don't even make those systems anymore. You have to go find one. Or you have to go prosumer grade, which is, again, just expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have expensive tastes. Stupid.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it. It's been fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for all you listeners, if you made it all the way to the end of the podcast, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Helps us out a lot. Share and subscribe.
If there's something you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know.
Definitely let us know, because we will talk about it. We'll dedicate an entire podcast just to you, listener, especially if you got all the way to the end.
But we'll also probably throw in other things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.